said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change, but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans. Look, Vice President Harris and I were just briefed in the Situation Room by my Homeland Security team, including the Director of the FBI, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Director of the Secret Service, my Homeland Security Advisor, the National Security Advisor, and we're going to continue to be briefed. The FBI is leading this investigation, which is still in its early stages. We don't yet have any information about the motive of the shooter. We know who he is. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job and their partner agencies do their job. I'm instructed that this investigation be thorough and swift, and the investigators will have every resource they need to get this done. Look, as this investigation continues, here's what we're going to do. First, Mr. Trump, as a former president and nominee of the Republican Party, already receives a heightened level of security. And I've been consistent in my direction to the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety. Second, I've directed the head of the Secret Service to review all security measures for the Republican National Convention, which is scheduled to start tomorrow. And third, I've directed an independent review of the national security at yesterday's rally to assess exactly what happened. And we'll share the results of that independent review with the American people as well. And finally, I'll be speaking more about this tonight at greater length from the Oval Office. We must unite as one nation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are. And so may God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, when you spoke to President Trump yesterday, what did he tell you, sir?
Mr. President, shifting our campaign strategy, Mr. President, do you regret?
President Joe Biden speaking about the steps that need to be taken, as well as security that was involved in yesterday's rally in Pennsylvania. As we bring back in Washington correspondent Ryan Henson, part of our continuous coverage throughout the day. And Ryan, we're also now going to be joined by White House correspondent John Decker, as he's been covering this whole situation very closely over the past, 16 hours, as you have. You've been on this since the news broke.
Yeah, it's definitely something everybody's craving for more information on. In particular, I think President Biden hit a couple of good points. Hey, what exactly is going on? He's instructing more security at the RNC. That's a big concern. He's instructing, specific details and giving specific direction about the investigation. And, like you said, it's not just these nominees who are in danger. People who are going to be there around them, a lot of different people are in danger. This is a big topic right here. And this is something that, President Biden clearly says he's working on right now. We're supposed to learn more later, so it's going to be interesting.
Let's go ahead and bring in our White House correspondent, John Decker. John, I'm curious to know, what stood out to you most about what President Biden just had to say?
Well, the president making the point that there is no place for this type of political violence in our country. Also making the point that he is working hand in glove with the Secret Service to make certain that the Republican National Convention, which begins tomorrow, and I'm at the site of the convention right now, goes off without a hitch. There are no other security issues whatsoever. The president said that he will work with the Secret Service as well to essentially troubleshoot what went wrong. Why were they unable to detect this gunman at this campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania yesterday? Why was he able to have such a powerful weapon with him from an elevated vantage point, able to take a shot at the president? And of course, we know the president was slightly wounded, but there was a fatality. There were two individuals who were gravely wounded. So this is something that clearly upsets those in the political world. It upsets anybody in the country to know and see that a leader, in this case, a former president, potentially a future president, was in danger yesterday at a campaign rally where we all should feel safe.
John, you've been covering the former president. We've heard reports that he is going to change his upcoming plans, not taking a trip to Texas. We've also heard reports about ads potentially being pulled for the time being. Are those the big changes after this happened for current President Joe Biden?
Well, there are some changes the president is making to his schedule. He had planned the early part of this week while the president and the attention is on the Republicans to do some campaigning of his own. He was going to travel first to Texas and then to Nevada. Nevada, of course, as you know, is a critical battleground state. So I received word before it became public that the president was modifying his schedule for this week. He's not traveling tomorrow to Texas as planned. In addition to that, I've learned that the president, and he alluded to this in his remarks just a few moments ago, Ryan, from the Roosevelt Room, he will address the nation tonight, a rare address from the Oval Office. And we'll hear more from the president beyond the short remarks that he made in the Roosevelt Room just moments ago.
What do you anticipate President Biden will focus on tonight beyond what he just said when he makes a more formal, more significant address?
Well, I think the president will focus on the feelings that exist right now in much of our country. And this is regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, whether you're from the left, from the right, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. We feel vulnerable. And rightly so, we feel vulnerable given the fact that there was an instance in which the president, the former president, a future president, was taken a shot at, an assassination attempt. And this hasn't happened in our country in decades, going all the way back to 1981 with former President Ronald Reagan. So you can understand the vulnerability that Americans feel right now. Perhaps I think it's calming down the way people feel the tensions that exist in America. We are a divided country, Ryan. You know that. I know that. We see this when we travel. But despite our divisions that exist right now, we all are part of one country. And for that reason, I think the president indicated this in the statement that he put out yesterday. He made it clear in the remarks that he made just moments ago in the Roosevelt Room. We must be unified as a country, even though we may have some political differences.
And finally, John, what is the magnitude of this moment in American politics?
Well, it's a tremendously big moment in terms of politics when you factor in, Ryan, that this is coming, this incident happening in Western Pennsylvania, another key battleground state happening less than 5 months away from the November election. And it changes the tenor of this debate, this convention coming up, in the sense that the focus certainly was going to be on Republicans. It was going to be on who Donald Trump chooses as his running mate. But now you have this added layer on top of that. And the added layer is one in which the person who will come here, who will accept the Republican nomination, just was the subject of a possible assassination attempt. So I've never seen anything like this. I think that those in politics that cover politics, we've never seen anything like this before. And hopefully we never see anything like this again, Ryan.
White House correspondent John Decker, thank you for the information and perspective and sharing with us on LNL. All right, let's go ahead and bring back in Washington correspondent Ryan Henson before we wrap up this part of our coverage. Ryan, you just heard from John Decker. He is somebody we rely on for perspective, for gauging the magnitude of the moment. And I thought it was interesting how he brought up with the RNC coming up. It especially changes the tenor of what we're going to hear from with them.
It's interesting because at the top, President Biden, former President Trump, a message of unity, a message trying to take the tone down. You've seen both of them talk about it and take action to do that. But kind of as you get down a little bit, some of the message, for the most part, everybody's saying that, but there's a couple of messages on both sides of the political spectrum playing into stoking the flames a little bit. And as you get further down on social media, I know everybody can say that's where the dregs of society almost exist. Social media is a mess as well. You see a lot of things going crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see if that message of uniting everybody together and keeping the politics about politics and not about violence, filters down to the American public. Obviously you don't want to see anything reactionary. You don't want to see anything else or anything else like this that really ever again, but especially this election cycle, while it is definitely top of mind, especially with these two candidates. So it's going to be interesting to see if people really take that message of unity to heart.
Goes without saying, the address from President Biden is extremely important this evening. Okay, let's break. We'll go back to your regular programming. We're going to continue covering this throughout the day here on Local News Live. Washington correspondent Ryan Henson, I'm Brian Pierce. We now go back to your normal programming.
Local News Live, always streaming, always free.